Peace, love, and blessings, fam. Day 34 of Wisdom of the Ages by Wayne W. Dyer. If you've missed the previous recordings, you can catch them on YouTube at Loyalty Life, spelled Lyfe, Legacy LLC. Day number 34, Soul Center. From Moby Dick. For as this appalling ocean surrounds the verdant land, so in the soul of man there lies one insular Tahiti, full of peace and joy, but encompassed by all of the horrors of the half-lived life. Herman Melville. American novelist, short story writer, and poet, Herman Melville is best known for Moby Dick, his tale of a literal and heroic journey. When I read this quote, I have a vivid mental picture of visiting the sweet little chapel in Assisi, Italy, where St. Francis lived and performed his well-documented miracles in the 13th century. The chapel, like most of Upper and Lower Assisi, has been largely preserved so that visitors can experience this holy place exactly as St. Francis did. It is easy to feel as if you have stepped back into the Middle Ages. Millions of people have pilgrimaged from around the world to pray in this ancient but well-preserved little church. The original chapel sits in the center of a much larger, more ornate building that was built hundreds of years after the death of St. Francis. This surrounding edifice has majestic columns, enormous cathedral ceilings, and an array of church tributes to St. Francis, who was a simple, gentle, and extremely passionate man. Walking in the outer chambers, I felt as if I were in a museum dedicated to a highly spiritual man. When my wife and I entered the original chapel in the center, we both felt the joy and peace that this place represents. It comes back to me whenever I read, "In the soul of man there lies one insular Tahiti." We tingled with bliss, cried tears of joy, and felt the energy of unconditional love that St. Francis represents. After meditating for 30 minutes or so, we left with the feeling of communicating with something divine. Since that time, we have often remarked how it was a turning point in our lives together. Our marriage shifted to a spiritual partnership in which our role is to assist each other in our spiritual growth. Herman Melville's work, Herman Melville's words take me back to that peak experience in Assisi. The original chapel in the center represents the soul, a place of divine truth and bliss. The surrounding edifice is like our physical body. It is always a step removed from the beauty and truth that resides in the center. A half-lived life, as Melville describes it, is one in which we do not get to that inner place of peace and joy, that insular Tahiti. The half-lived life is lived exclusively in the trappings and the structures that are the outer world. These are the horrors that Melville tells us encompass the soul, as if one were unable to find the center where bliss resides. You sense that there is a deeper, richer experience of life available. Yet you somehow continue to flail around in the external ocean, glimpsing the verdant Tahiti, that peaceful chapel from a distance. Perhaps the most devastating scenario imaginable is to face death, knowing that because of some imagined fear, you have always chosen a half-lived life in which you avoid doing the things your heart beckoned you to do. I urge you to change the scenario now. Start living your life with the courage to step ashore and experience your insular Tahiti. I encourage you to read and reread the poignant words of Herman Melville, written in the 19th century for you to apply today. That space in the center that he calls your soul has no boundaries, no form, no dimensions to measure. Yet, it is the very core of your being. When you are able to experience that space, you will know the peace and joy that comes from a life fully lived and fully appreciated. That inner space that Melville calls your soul is silent and indivisible. You can get there by meditating and then listening to your heart rather than your head. Your heart speaks a silent language of purpose, while your head often gives you intellectual reasons that you can't follow your bliss. Accomplished musicians say it's the silence between the notes that make the music. Without that formless, dimensionless silence, there can be no music. You can access your verdant Tahiti, your peaceful chapel, by working your way through that appalling ocean and those architectural structures, past the shell of your body composed of bone and sinew, and arriving at that indivisible, silent place within. Then just listen and glow and know that a half lived life is not for you. Write your truths, speak your innermost feelings. Let go of what you've been told you must do or not do. You will feel fulfilled in your work, your family, your entire life. What is it that your heart begs you to do? No, seriously, what is it that your heart begs you to do? Think on that while I continue. What verdant island inside the ocean of your body beckons you to come and visit? It could be a travel bug to explore the Galapagos or the Himalayas. Perhaps it is a feeling that is heartfelt, which implores you to open an art gallery or work with the Eskimos. Maybe it is a knowing itch to write your own poems or your own symphony. What is your secret in the center? Robert Frost wrote, "We dance round in a ring and suppose, but the secret sits in the middle and knows." He must have known that Melville was speaking about in Moby Dick. Whatever you feel within you, but have avoided for whatever reason you've manufactured in your mind, give yourself permission to explore it with new eyes and ears. As you practice assessing this silent center, be careful how you use your intellect. If you proceed to tell yourself that it is one thing to explore your inner chapel, but quite another to live there, then carefully note how you are setting yourself up to continue wallowing in the outer chambers. You will act on what you think. And if you think it's impossible, impractical, and beyond my reach, then this is precisely what you will act upon. And it is back to the appalling ocean. You go. Melville wrote in the 19th century, but he was writing to you and me. He left this planet before we showed up, yet his words ring true. The same life force that flowed through his great novelist also flows through us today. He felt the horror of a half-lived life was a result of ignoring this inner, silent spark of the life that gives peace and joy to all of us. Here are my suggestions for implementing this wisdom today. Uno, practice a daily meditation in which you go to that silent space within. This inner place will give you a sense of peace that is impossible to know when you are enmeshed in the turmoil of the appalling ocean. Dos, listen to your heart, not your head. Your feelings are a sensitive barometer for what you love to do. Imagine yourself visiting your expression of the verdant Tahiti. Experience in your soul and then in your mind all the details of doing what you love and loving what you do. Tres, take the risk involved in listening to your soul. Take the risk involved in listening to your soul. I say again, take the risk involved in listening to your soul. But be very careful to avoid projecting thoughts of fear, failure, and catastrophe onto your decision. Remind yourself each day that Herman Melville was writing to you, and that when the angel of death comes calling, and the call is inevitable, you won't say, I am horrified. Wait, I only lived a half life. Instead, you will know the joy of listening to your soul, and you will say, I am at peace. I have no fear. I have been to Tahiti. You know what it reminded me of, even as I just read that? Um, the island Tahiti in Moana. So this is how y'all know I be on the fly with this type of stuff. I don't read this beforehand and try to come up with anything extravagant. But when you look back on it, Tahiti was really a representation of Moana herself. It was a stirring up within her as a greater creature. And if you've seen part two, just stick to the subject. Let me stick to the subject. So that Tahiti was her Tahiti, which she had to heal and find in order to become the greatest and best version of herself possible. I myself am at my altar every morning and every evening. There are some times where if I have unexpected things that come up in the morning, that I may not go to my altar, but at some point in the day, I'm going to accomplish what I set out to do because it has grounded me. Bro, you will not understand until you begin to experience it yourself, how starting your day out with silence and peace and some form of meditation will not only ground you for the day, but it's like preparing your roadway for the day to be completely opened and all unnecessary BS removed. Now, there are things that are going to happen, but you're going to deal with them differently. So in that case, if somebody swerves in front of you opposed to you being like, this nigga tripping, and it's like, oh man, bro, these folks really don't know how to drive. I don't see how they got a license. Many of them probably don't have a license, but that's another topic because, you know. But when you begin to dig deeper within to yourself, to understand and know yourself, life drastically changes. And I know a lot of people feel like they grow at their own pace. Um, they feel like they don't have the time. And, you know, based on perspective, everybody is entitled to their opinion of self. But to me, if you want to do something, you're going to do it. If you want to study tarot, you're going to study tarot. If you want to study the Bible, you're going to study the Bible. And I mean study, not just open it here and there. No, actually dig into it to see if you actually understand what you claim to be standing behind. It's no different than the book that is our vessel, the book that is you. Do you really understand yourself? Do you really know who you are? If you do, then why do you keep making the same choices and decisions that you don't like? Why do you keep making the same choices and decisions that you know aren't going to work out? We can take whatever perspective, if it's dealing with other people and things of that nature and trying to show unconditional love, cool, understandable. But understand within yourself that that's still a choice that you're making. And at some point, you have to accept that for you to grow into the best version of yourself possible, you have to be intentional with every move and action that you make, because your higher self is observing everything that you do. It's been guiding you all of your life, and it's been trying to direct you towards the things that you say you want. If you want to fix your credit, you're going to do the things necessary to fix your credit. If you want to save up and buy your house, you're going to do the necessary things to do so. Now, there may be certain stagnations that come about because you might not be mentally prepared or ready, and your actions will show that. You'll keep wishing and hoping, and I know this is going to happen one day, but until you actually take those steps to get soul centered, to enter into the tiny heart space that is here, that opens up to you the mathematics of the world, that show you how to align and manifest and receive all that you want, you're going to keep running around in circles. And if you're tired of running around in circles, hey, just take a moment, sit down, close your eyes, meditate. I won't do that here today because I do have other meditations on some of these other readings. I have meditations on my YouTube. Little John has a meditation album. Mr. Yeah, or yeah, however you said it. But now he's more, yeah, let's calm down. Turn up for what? How about we turn down? So it's time for you to find that space of turning down and, you know, allowing yourself to get soul centered. I thank you for taking this moment daily or however often you come to my page to allow yourself to be soul centered because it's more for you than it is me. So I thank you for being here for yourself. I ask that you walk in love, walk in light, walk in peace, and know that you are loved.